This podcast is brought to you by Podcast Nation.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
Welcome to Nirvana Sisters podcast, where we take the intimidation out of well-being and beauty to help you achieve your highest state, your nirvana. We are sisters-in-law and your hosts. I'm Amy Sherman.
And I'm Katie Chandler. So let's get into some real conversation.
Welcome back to Nirvana Sisters family. It's Amy and Katie. And we are joined by Natasha Brinkmann, or Natasha B., who is a trained esthetician, skincare expert, and educator. You may know her as Beauty Junkie Monkey on TikTok, where she has over 350,000 followers. That's how we found her. So much amazing skincare advice. We trust all her recommendations and all of her insight. Natasha is very unique in her field because she's completely independent of any brand, and this provides her with unbiased opinions on all skincare lines. She thrives on finding each diamond product that each brand has and shares it within her community, giving others the best bang for their buck. So Natasha's online consultation business is worldwide. She designs skincare routines for those around the world, and her success has her completely booked for the next 6 months. So hopefully the Nirvana Sisters family can get in sooner than that. But we are so glad to have you here, Natasha. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you, Amy. I sincerely appreciate that.
Awesome. Well, we are going to start out. We have so many questions, but before we start out, we just want to take a step back and do our Nirvana of the week, something that brought us joy, happiness this week that we can reflect upon. And I will hand it over to Katie to give us her Nirvana of the week.
Oh, thanks. But really quickly before I do that, I just want to say hi to Natasha. And I'm so happy you're here because you single-handedly saved my skin, and we'll get into why here shortly. But I think I have probably like two Nirvanas, one that happened and then a future one for tomorrow. But I am traveling for the first time for work in long time, not a few years, a long time. And it's just been kind of a Nirvana and it's fun. It's fun to be like on the road, and I'm working for a great client. And while I miss my family, it's just been kind of exciting to do all of this stuff again. So that was a Nirvana. And then my next one is tomorrow. We're in Baltimore. I'm in Baltimore for my client, and my kids and my husband are going to come and meet me, and we're going to go to the aquarium here. And I'm so excited because it's really like one of the best aquariums in the country, and my girls love an aquarium. So it'll just be a really fun day. I'm excited. What about you, Amy?
Oh, that's cute. So I would say my Nirvana of the week was last night. So I went out for a girlfriend's birthday. It was just 4 of us, and had a great meal. And it's just so fun when you go out with great friends, really close friends, and you just have those different conversations that you don't have with other people. So we laughed, we cried, the range of topics we talked about were just so funny and so age appropriate. It was just a great night. So I really appreciated that because I haven't had a good connection with girlfriends in a couple of weeks. So it was just really, really nice. What about you, Natasha?
Being here, this is very exciting for me.
Aw, thanks.
I have to say, I was pretty stoked. I'm like, no, I got to do this. So this is definitely my moment.
Oh, we'd love to hear that.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Well, before we kick it off, I'm going to just tell you my really quick Natasha B story because, like I said, you saved my skin. I was using an exfoliant every day as my face lotion, a serum, Sunday Riley's Good Genes, which is a great product, but I didn't know how to use it. I was using it wrong. And I came across your content and I started watching your videos, and you taught me what an exfoliant is and why I shouldn't be using it every day. Maybe my skin likes it once a week. So literally you saved my skin. My skin was an absolute mess for maybe the last year. It was dry, it was flaky, it was red, it was blotchy, it was acne, it was oily, and it was everything. So thank you, Natasha.
Oh, so, I love hearing this. This is why I do what I do. it's there's so much information out there, and they don't teach people how to take care of their skin. They don't teach people that skincare products do different things for different skin and different skin types. Like one person can use an acid every single day and have absolutely amazing skin, but that's a small percentage. And my biggest rant right now is, I'm sure you saw, is all about using AHAs and BHAs, which are acids in your cleanser and in your toners, and then using other active ingredients with it. It turns into a hot mess, and then you unbalance the skin, and then you're wondering what the heck happened to my face? Like, it was good, and then it wasn't good. And then you keep doing the same things over processing, and it just becomes a just accumulation of a hot mess, as I like to call it.
It's exactly what it does.
Yeah. And it's so true, because you're right. There's so much information out there, and everyone wants to try all these products. But if you don't know how to use them, and you don't know how to use them for your skin, and you're not working with someone like you, or someone that actually has expertise, you can totally mess up your skin.
Well, and also these products, they always say on the bottle, use day and night. Like, they never say use once or twice a week, depending on what your skin can handle, or, it's very misleading. So having said that, let's break down what some of these products are, because we're hearing a lot of buzzwords on niacinamide, exfoliants, like you said, AHA, BHA, of course, the vitamin C's and the peptides. So give us kind of a 101 on what all of those things are.
So your AHAs and BHAs, so your alpha hydroxy acids and your beta hydroxy acids, those are basically your acids, your exfoliants. And right now, what's kind of being pushed in the industry is using that in your cleanser and your toner, specifically if you have problematic skin, meaning if you have a breakout or two or acne skin. But the problem is that, I don't know about you guys, but most of the people that I talk to, when I say, I have acne, it's really bad. And their really bad is like 3 breakouts on the chin. So there's a bit of a misconception of what acne skin looks like and how bad a breakout is. It might be bad for you because that's outside your norm, but that's kind of like the biggest kind of people's interpretation of what acne skin or breakout skin can be. It's very broad. It's very broad. So of course, companies put it out there. Oh, well, we use a small amount. But I always go back to the old saying, well, if you have a piece of wood and it just needs a little sanding, and you sand it down just a little bit, then it's perfect, right? It feels good. It looks good. You can put the oils on it. It hydrates. It looks great. But if you keep filing it down, you start getting rough edges and that glow, and you start getting, you know what I mean? Like the little picks of of over filing it. It's a kind of a crude way of putting it, but that's kind of how I look at using acids in your skincare. This definitely has its place. And yes, there's certain skin types that can use acids on a daily basis, but you don't have to use it on a daily basis. Remember, companies want to sell you their product. That is their main goal, right? And very few companies actually design a skincare for people or their routines, because in fairness, that's tough to do. Everybody has different needs in that area. So that's where I have an issue with the AHAs, BHAs being in cleansers and toners, because most people don't need it there. They need it as a treatment separately on a different night. So AHAs and BHAs, so AHAs are your glycolic acid, your lactic acid, your mandelic acid, your azelaic acid. Those are your acids. They take off the surface area of the skin. BHA is your salicylic acid. That's the stuff that actually goes down deep into the pore and cleans it out, almost like a little washing machine, just goes in there and cleans it right out. But it doesn't really touch the surface area, but it can dry out the surface area. So when you have a combination of, I have really bad blackheads and I have really bad oil production, then yes, an AHA/BHA. So usually it's a blend of lactic acid, glycolic acid, is what's going to be beneficial for your skin type. But if you're like me and you're dry, dehydrated skin, lactic acid is your best friend, because it's a humectant and pulls moisture to itself. So it's not as aggressive as a glycolic, which is a smaller molecule and can really get in there and dry out the skin.
So I have a question. So all of those acids you talked about, are they in the category of exfoliators? Yes. Or is it okay? So are those are the kind that like Katie was mentioning, like Good Genes, where you keep it on. But what about the exfoliators, like the ones that are textured, that you just put on your face and rinse off? Is that like a different category? Because I never know which you should be using. Both different. Like, how does that work?
Well, there's enzymes, right? And then there's your manual exfoliants, right? So your manuals are like those microbeads that were really big like 10, 20 years ago. Remember those? And they were like awesome. And then we found out, whoops, they're not perfectly spherical and we're causing micro tears in the skin, which can cause pigmentation. And well, basically you're opening up the skin for any type of bacteria and breakouts. So we realized that's not great. Not to mention the microbeads weren't exactly being manufactured well. There's some cheaper versions, which we found were polluting the environment. So, there's a lot of stuff that we kind of learned throughout the years. Nowadays, I like to stay away from doing a manual abrasion type of peel. I really like that they're really focused more on the AHAs, BHAs, and there's different levels, of course. But I really like that because, again, the other thing I noticed working with people is that people can be very heavy-handed. When they're exfoliating, they would just sit there and grind it into their skin. I'm like, oh, no. Living organism. Be gentle, be gentle. I always say, touch your face like you're touching a baby. How you would caress a baby. That's the kind of pressure you really want to do on your skin. Legs and arms, that's a completely different story, but your face, you should really touch it like it's a baby. So I personally, it does have its place in certain situations, but I tend to like to go more towards the acids that you can use, like the ones from The Ordinaries. They work really, really great. Paula's Choice has really good ones out there. There's a lot of formulations. Yeah.
Paula's Choice. Yeah.
Paula's Choice.
I switched from Sunday Riley's Good Genes. I think it was just too much. And like the fact that it's a serum and you leave it on, I feel like it was kind of stripping my skin. So now I'm using the Paula's Choice, but I only use it twice a week.
Well, that's exactly it. You use it less and you probably get better skin out of it.
Yeah. So what are, let's get into like ceramides and the vitamins. Ceramides are, is ceramide and a niacinamide the same thing or no?
No, not really. So what niacinamide it fortifies the cell walls. So it's a vitamin B3, I guess is the best way to put it. What it does is it helps to fortify those cell walls. So you guys can see me. This is what like a pore would do. And whenever anybody's talking to me about texture, like I have a lot of texture, I have a lot of oil production. My skin barrier is compromised. It's not doing so well. What that does is it basically helps to heal those cell walls and it helps to keep them nice and firm and taut. Niacinamide should be technically used with everybody. It is so good. Any and every skin type can use it because when you fortify those cell walls, again, you bring down texture. So you stop getting that huge bumpiness in the skin that people find when they have oily skin. It also brings down inflammation. It's a powerful, powerful antioxidant. So that works exceptionally well against the elements. Not to mention it does help brighten up the skin as well. And another little superpower it has is it helps to regulate your sebum production, which is your oil glands. So it helps to relax that hyperactive sebaceous secretion that people with oily or oily acnetic skin have. And it just calms it down. But the problem with niacinamide is it takes time. It takes time to kick in. And a lot of people, they're like, oh, I've used it for 2 weeks. I've done nothing. Well, no, it hasn't even done a skin cycle. A skin cycle would be basically the general consensus is between 28 to 31 days, but as we age, it slows down. So that means you're probably going to have to wait a little bit longer for your skin products to actually kick in and work. And it can take anywhere between 3 to 6 months for niacinamide to really kick in for certain people. So things like that are kind of what are going to help rebuild the cell wall. Of course, with ceramides also help to fortify the cell walls within the skin so you're not compromising the barrier. And that's how you keep the skin looking nice and juicy and plump and not red.
Okay.
So for niacinamide, can you use it morning and night?
Absolutely.
Okay. And what is the difference between niacinamide and hyaluronic? So hyaluronic acid, from what I know, is like very hydrating, but it's not the same acid as like the AHA and BHAs we were talking about before.
No.
Okay. And so I always get confused on the difference between niacinamide and hyaluronic because it feels like those two ingredients are in everything.
Yes. And for good reason. They work really, really well together. Like if you have compromised skin barrier or rosacea skin or acne skin, anything like that, thin skin, what hyaluronic acid, specifically B5, it's really unique because the hyaluronic acid pulls moisture to itself like a little sponge, but the B5 actually helps to hydrate the cell walls in between. So it's like a little bit extra. When you do that and you fortify the cell walls with a niacinamide, you got a really nice, happy little marriage of two really solid ingredients that really help to keep the skin firm, juicy, plumpy, and hydrated. The thing with serums that you really have to remember is they are not your moisturizer. So you cannot put a hyaluronic acid and then a niacinamide and then go out and go, oh, my skin looks dry and dull and it's cracking, and it's, well, yeah, because that's not a hydrator. It's a serum. Serums are basically like, what's the best way to describe that? Your multivitamin, your dose of what you're trying to do for your skin to help get your skin nice and healthy.
And then are the peptides the moisture?
Oh.
What is what are the peptides, and what is the skin cream, the moisturizer, the next step that we want to protect our skin barrier?
So when it comes to peptides, there's a lot. There's like different forms of peptides. There's hydrating peptides, there's stimulating peptides, there are neuron peptides that help to like the arginine or gyroline, as some people call it. I'm Canadian, so I called it arginine, but basically, like, that's kind of a neuron peptide. It tells the muscles not to move as much or as deep or as penetrative. Then you have Matrixyl 3000, which is really exciting. Again, was not big in the field in it back in the day. Glad I'm back in it now. But back in, 20 years ago, there was no Matrixyl. I don't think it came into play until like early 2000, I believe, somewhere like that. So the skincare game has changed considerably, and peptides have really made a comeback. Now, there's a lot of people out there that have different varying opinions about peptides. And I read the research on it. So when I look it up, I'm like, it doesn't sound too promising, but what the heck, I'm going to try it. That's why I test everything that I talk about, because I'm skeptic like everybody else. And I'm also very curious, because I've also known throughout the years that you can't just look at it blindly with one set of eyes. You have to try it from different angles and see what works and what doesn't work. And for me, peptides really has changed the game for a lot of women and men out there who are just trying to plump up and juice up their skin and just kind of give it the best bang. So peptides like Matrixyl are exciting because they stimulate collagen and elastin production, which slows considerably as you age. And there's different versions of them, different formulas. Like, for instance, if you're in your later 20s, early 30s, and you want like just to get a good all-around peptide, The Ordinary has it used to be called Buffet, but I think they're calling it a polypeptide or something like that. It was an incredible formulation of different type of peptides in there, and it worked exceptionally well. I really, really love that one. But for me, I'm a huge fan of Matrixyl or Matrixyl Synthetic 6, which is
that like a serum or is it a moisturizer?
Yeah, it's a serum. And again, there's a lot of products that will either put it in a serum, so it's almost like your power pack, your major dosing, or they'll put it in your moisturizer, which has hit and miss results, right? Because when you put the more ingredients you put together, you're not they don't always work I can't even say it today.
Synergistically.
That's the one. They don't always do that perfectly together. But the same can be said about a serum. Like, certain serums are just basic and they kind of fall flat. Not because the active ingredient isn't good. It's because it's not being supported by the other ingredients that help to enhance it. So that's something I'm still learning. Like, I'm still doing a lot of research and going in through a whole bunch of different products, but I've been so busy doing consultations that it's kind of slowed that down a little bit. So I'm trying to get back into my groove.
I just, I got a little like trial size of something called, I just looked it up. It's a moisturizer. It's by the brand Skin Fix. Mm-hmm. And it's called Barrier Plus, and it says triple lipid peptide cream.
Peptide cream. That one.
I've been using it at night, and it's really moisturizing. It feels so good, especially in the winter, and I love it. I don't know if it's the peptides or whatever it is, but like it's just really, really like creamy and thick and moisturizing. But that had peptides in it, and that's what I was going to ask you. Like, does it even work in the cream? Does it? It sounds like it's better to put it directly on your skin versus through a moisturizer, but it doesn't hurt if it's in a moisturizer, right?
No, and there's different forms. Like, there's hundreds of different forms of peptides out there, right? So the ones in the Skin Fix triple lipid peptide cream, those are really big on the lipids, on the fatty acids that are within that skincare. So you're not going to see Matrixyl in that. You're going to see different forms of peptides in there, and those are the ones that protect the skin barrier. They're really heavy in the ceramides, so it's really like. Skin Fix is one of my cult favorites. I absolutely love that one. I say to all my clients, if I was in clinic, I would have a wall of it because of the different formulations, because it is so effective. So effective.
Oh, good.
And it's hydrating, but it doesn't, what's the best way to put it? It's hydrating, but it's not oily. And then they
it's
also
not like
have
greasy at all. Yeah.
No. And for those that are really oily, kind of oily acnetic skin, their gel formulation is sensational. I absolutely love it. So those are two products. And I think that's why I like the Skin Fix so much, because it's a little bit more user-friendly for the majority of those skin types out there.
Yeah.
They also have a really good product. Two of their cleansers are also a favorite of mine. So they have the basic cleanser, which is where am I first? I have my list. Let me pull up my list.
Oh, we love a list.
I have a list. So once I've tested it and I deem it worthy, I know that sounds so funny. I feel like a little queen in my little realm here, but I deem be worthy. It makes my list. And it's basically it means I can recommend this to other people comfortably and say, you're probably going to do pretty good with this. Everybody has their different experiences, but this is kind of how I do mine. But it's called the Foaming Oil Hydrating Cleanser, which is absolutely sensational. It will not compromise your skin barrier. It's not going to wreck it. It is safe for pretty much every skin type out there. But here's the thing, for people with really oily skin, and I'm not talking just T-zone, but those that suffer from really oily skin chronically, their foaming clay cleanser, spectacular. Because the clay actually helps absorb all that extra oil. And when you pair that with you using a niacinamide serum, which is going to help bring down the hyperactive sebaceous secretion, and then you use perhaps their, I believe it's called their skin barrier niacinamide restoring gel, you're still keeping that hydration level up in the skin so the oil glands don't go crazy. And the niacinamide helps to fortify and reduce the extra hyperactive sebaceous secretion. So it's a beautiful, I love those products.
Love it. And then I know I don't know if we asked you this before when we were talking about the AHA and BHAs. Do you have, I know we mentioned Paula's Choice. Do you have other brands that like, what else, what's on your list for the exfoliators?
I have lots. Again, and it all depends on the individual and the skin type. So for me, lactic acid, 10%, The Ordinary, it's a cheap, awesome trick that works, just works brilliantly. L'Oreal Revitalift 10% glycolic serum. Absolutely awesome.
Wow.
And you can just get it at your local drugmart. Now, glycolic acid is really good for normal skin types, not too oily, not too dry, kind of right in the middle. It's wonderful. And I like it that it's in a serum because it's a little bit more hydrating than your typical glycolic toner that you can get from The Ordinary. Like that one I'm not a fan of as much because it's really drying on the skin. So for me, it's kind of like, that one, I'll tell you a good trick about that one. Side note, if you have really bad calloused heels, throw on put a little pad of the glycolic serum, wipe it on your heels, and then put your moisturizer over top. It's a game changer. You're going to have amazing feet.
That's
amazing. To try that.
Yeah. It's a great little trick. That it's fantastic for people with really thick, oilier skin. They can get away with it, but it's not my favorite formula because, like I said, it's pretty drying. And my theory is I'd rather keep it a little bit more hydrating. That's why I like the glycolic serum from L'Oreal Revitalift, because it's a little bit more hydrating and it's a little bit more supportive.
Is that the one that they have like an under eye kind of serum too? Am I thinking of the right one with like there's like silver kind of like balls at the end? I don't know if that's hyaluronic.
Oh, that one's, that's the hyaluronic acid one you're talking about. Yeah, that's the hyaluronic acid you can put around your eyes. That one's excellent. Mm-hmm. But it's generic, hyaluronic acid after a while is kind of hyaluronic acid, right? It's like, there's $50 versions. Do they work better than the $5, $10 versions? A little bit, they're a nicer formula. They go on a little bit nicer, but they kind of technically do the same thing. So different molecular weights, there's all these little extra nuances that can make them just a little bit better, a little bit more luxurious, but I'll be damned if I ever pay $50 for a hyaluronic acid. I will spend $100 on a cream if I see the value in it, but I am not going to pay $50 for hyaluronic acid. That's where I get cheap.
It's so true that you can get such great products at drugstores now as well. Like CeraVe, I started using CeraVe's hyaluronic acid and niacinamide cream or serum, and it is fantastic. I love it. And also I'm really into La Roche-Posay now. They're a great price point too.
Very nice. Yeah. Very nice line.
So I'm so fascinated by this because you're so insanely educated on all of these details. So how you create these protocols or these routines for your clients, it's just brilliant. So they come to you and they say, these are my problems, A, B, C, D, and you put together a program for them.
Yeah. Basically, I put together a skincare routine based on their skin type, their needs, and where they're at in their life. Because some people, they're like, yeah, no, I'm okay with that. I just want this. And I'm like, okay, for them, I have one client, she's like, I know the wrinkles are coming. My skin's just unbalanced. I just want a basic skincare routine, nothing fancy, just something I can be religious with and just have good skincare. And I'm like, you got it. I had another client yesterday, actually. She was amazing. She's like, I followed your routine, some of the routines that you were kind of putting together and on TikTok. And she goes, I had a horrible allergic reaction to a type of medication. And the only place she didn't peel was the areas where she had taken care of her skin. So her face, her neck, and her chest, but the rest of her body peeled due to this reaction she had to medication.
Wow.
So that just goes to show that your diligence, in your skincare can make such a difference.
Sorry, Katie and I are like have 10,000 questions. Do you have a favorite vitamin C brand? And question for you on that, do you put that on first and then the niacinamide, et cetera? Or like, what's the order?
Yeah, I have a hard time.
A lot of
with
people
vitamin
get tripped
C.
up on like, what do you put on first and last?
Okay. It depends on the vitamin C. So the L-ascorbic acid form of vitamin C from Skin Diva is truly my ultimate favorite but that's a high, like you've worked your way up to it. If you are brand new and you go right to L-ascorbic acid, you may or may not enjoy it, because it's based on your skin type. It is the most potent. I call her the diva of all vitamin C. She's highly potent, highly reactive. She's also highly unstable. So she requires a little bit extra love. So
she's
she
high
needs
maintenance.
to go. She's high maintenance, but damn, does she does her job. Like, this is the diva that's going to sing the opera. She's going to do it. So that's why I quite love her. But I say that lovingly in the fact that your skin has to be dry. So you can technically put your hyaluronic acid and your niacinamide and all your serums on first. But the first rule of skincare is thinnest to thickest, water-based, then creams, then oils. So when you're looking at, like, for instance, Skin Diva, this one, it is more of a water base. So that would go on first on dry skin. Then you're going to let it absorb for a good solid minute. Then you would put on anything that would be like a serum base, like your hyaluronic acid, your niacinamide, like any of those, your Chebula, which is also a favorite of mine. And what I like to do, because a lot of them are carried in hyaluronic acid, is when I apply it on my skin, is I'll take a couple drops and then I'll just kind of wet my fingertips or just give a light spray really far away, because I don't want to over wet it. I just want to give it a little bit of slip factor. And then I would rub it in all over my face, let that soak in. Then I put on my creams and then my SPF, and then I'm ready for the day.
That's another tip of yours that I need to start to use. And that is, when you put a product on your face, give it a second to get in there and do its job before you slap the next thing on. I'm like, boom, 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 really.
Yeah, you're rushing and you're
it's a very good tip.
It's good to break it up and, just brush your teeth, go make your bed, run after your kid. Like, sometimes it's good to break it up a little bit here and there. Some people ask, well, do I have to wait a full minute? Really, honestly, give your vitamin C a minute. Just give that one a full minute. Let her do her job. The serums are usually pretty quick at absorbing. Like, another good form of vitamin C is ascorbic acid, which is not as strong, but is still very potent. And that one is better on dry skin as well. Then when you go into like the tetrahydroascorbic acid, which is my favorite ultimate fatty acid, awesome juiciness, that one works really well, but you can actually layer it under your under your serums and stuff like that. It doesn't start working until it penetrates into the skin, and it's a beautiful ingredient. I love that one.
What's your favorite vitamin C for sensitive skin?
Oh, sensitive skin. I love Herbivore Nova. That sucker is awesome. And it's so juicy. You're so juicy and plumping. It's got some alpha-arbutin, which helps to prevent excess melanin production. It does have a little bit of T. Chebula in there as well, which is a very incredible, powerful antioxidant. There's so many good turmeric as well, which helps to reduce and lighten and brighten the skin. Like, it just evens everything out. It's beautiful. But again, it's long-term use. You're not going to see results within like 5-10 days. You're going to really have to just play the long game on it. And some pigmentation just is not going to move. I have this little spot in the back of my hand. I've had it lasered. I put products on it. You name it, I've done it. It ain't going anywhere. She's like, no, I'm with you, girl. That's it. We're besties. So sometimes you just have to understand that there's certain things that are never going to go away, and you kind of have to make your peace with that.
I was having such a hard time with vitamin C, but I think it's because I was using the Sunday Riley Good Genes daily. I think that was probably the culprit to all of my problems. So I'm going to give it another go. I'll try that one.
Yeah. Try the Nova. Yeah, that one's fantastic.
So I was going to switch topics because this is another topic that, as Katie knows, I'm very passionate about, which is under eyes.
Oh, yes.
Like dark circles, bags, like dry skin, hollowness. What do you got? Tell us about brands, moisturizers, things.
Absolutely. So Dipology kind of went viral last year because they had gifted me one of their Matrixels and along with their eye patches and so forth. And although I did like the eye patches, their Matrixel just blew me out of the water because what it did is it helped plump up my skin around the hollowness around my eyes, as well as it, again, add some firmness because you're adding hydration. You're
Is that the
basically
peptide you were just talking about?
That's the top.
Okay.
Yeah, the Matrixel 3000.
So you put that under your eye. Got it.
Oh, I put that all over. Like I bathe in that. That goes all over. You want neck skin, you want chest skin, you want everything. Like I'll be 48 on Tuesday next week. And there is literally,
oh my gosh. Yeah, your skin is insane. Your skin is gorgeous.
Well, I'm lucky because I get to play with a lot of product now that I would have never been open to in the past, right? So this is the kind of the perk of my job now, which I'm really appreciative. But I also share all my knowledge so everybody else can try different products as well and see which ones work best for their skin. But personally speaking,
so you use that. Yeah. What else? Like, do you put on favorite eye creams? Like any tips for?
Yeah. So Charlotte Tilbury has a really nice eye cream, really nice. And it does help to definitely help firm up my skin. There's another brand that I just finished testing out and it did sensational. I used it around my eyes. It wasn't a specific eye cream. It was the whole system itself. It's called EMK. EMK Beverly Hills. Sorry, I just have the little thing beside me because I'm like, I got to do a video on that. So that's my refresher note to do that. That was an incredible system, highly expensive though. So it is truly a Beverly Hills one, but it worked exceptionally well around my eyes. Dipology's Caviar Stick is a great hydrator. It's not going to firm up the skin like the Charlotte Tilbury one, but it's a great hydrator. So if you have a really dry, dehydrated one, that Caviar Stick is sensational. I'm testing out True Botanicals. They have an eye serum. I'm loving it. I put it on this morning and I'm super, super happy with it. So far, so good. I'm just still in the early stages of testing. So
love that. And while we're on the under eye subject, any favorite concealers?
Lancome.
Is it
the
just
Lancome, that $40 one that came out? It's been a couple of years now, but that one still is a tried and true.
Okay. We're always looking for good eye creams and good concealers. So thank you for that.
Well, follow my page. I promise I will always keep you up to date on anything new. I try to go on as much as possible. So then that way people can make an informed decision and, know that, okay, somebody tested it and they liked it, and they thought there was value to it. And that's what I love about being independent is that although I may work with brands after I like them, I don't do it the other way. I was just offered a huge contract. What I thought was huge. And they're like, no, we want you to do this within a couple of weeks. I'm like, no, I got to test it. I said, I'm happy to do this, but I have to test it, see if I like it. And then we can talk. And they're like, oh, well, no, we need to do it. And I'm like, no, I'm not interested, dude. Sorry.
Oh, good for you. Yeah.
I worked my butt off to keep my integrity means everything to me. And I worked my butt off to earn that
right.
trust
and you have
respect.
Trust. Exactly.
Yes.
People respect your opinions. So that's good.
Yeah. So I'm not into that.
Speaking of opinions, what's your opinion on skin cycling? Do you have any of your clients doing skin cycling?
Well, when I put them on an actual program, there is a version that we actually do together. So I do put them on a program based on their skin type and their skin needs, which would it would be a skin cycle, really, but it's not like what you're seeing from one dermatologist. I think she came out with this, do it this day, do it this day, do it this way. That will work for, again, it's not a blanket statement for everybody. And it's not viable for most people because it's not something that in a busy life schedule works with people, right? Because when I design skincare routines, I'm like, what's your life like? Like, how realistic is this? Because I don't want you to buy all these products and do this whole thing only to do it for the first 2 weeks and then go completely down the wayside. And, I want to try to encourage something that they can do long term. And for certain people, they're very systematic and they have that calendar in their head and they can do it. I say all the power to you. Just make sure you're using the right products. I don't recommend over exfoliating your skin more than, again, for certain skin types, once, twice, max. Some people can do 3, but it's not as much as people think it is. And that's why I'm not quite a fan of that version. But again, I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who've had excellent success with it. So I don't want to poo-poo anybody's work. But at the same time, I just want to be realistic that it's not going to be for everybody.
Yeah, of course.
And what about, sorry.
Do you have a favorite retinol? product that you like?
I was going to ask the same thing.
Yeah, actually, I do love the one from Depology. That one's sensational. That one you can use every single day. Kiehl's also has a really good, their microdose one is fantastic. Maylove. Oh, they have two. They have a retinol and a retinal. Oops, I didn't want to give you the finger. So retinol is your basic, has to kind of penetrate the skin and convert itself a few times. So it's on the lower end, but it works very, very well. And then they also have another one called a retinal, which is a higher strength and only has to, I think, only has to do 1 or 2 conversions and then it's ready to rock and roll. So
and you would use that one like once or twice a week, probably not as much.
Oh no, I use that daily now. Once you work your way up to it, once you work your way up, you can. But I hate to do this, ladies. I have a consultation to do now.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
But I would love to come on here and do another if you guys want.
Yeah, let's do a part 2. We'll have you back whenever is convenient for you, because I think in the part 2 we want to talk about like some of these treatments we're seeing out there, like Morpheus 8 and like all the treatments you can do. And also want to hear about your routine and some more of your favorites, et cetera. So we'll make sure to book you. So don't worry, Nirvana Sisters family. We're going to get her
coming
back.
Yes.
Oh,
she's a busy lady. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Nirvana Sisters. For more information on this episode, check out the show notes, please subscribe and leave us a review. Also, find us on Instagram at Nirvana Sisters. If you loved what you just listened to or know someone that would, please share it and tag us. Tune in next week for a fresh new episode of Nirvana Sisters. We'll continue to watch out for all things wellness so you don't have to. Bye.